Hey, I don't look like a stalker in that thumbnail. My hair is kind of a mess. All right. My name is Ron Zuckett. If you are not a subscriber to the channel and just kind of finding this later, I have done my stream has just almost completed an extensive replay of the 1978 season. I've been a Dave Coke Koch customer or cook for a long, long time. Let me shut off my other monitor here. Oh. But over the last 18 weeks or so, I've really given Action PC Football a tremendous go through. And if you haven't followed the replay, we do the championship game next Wednesday night, January 16th at 7 o'clock, and it will actually be the real teams that will be in the championship between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys. And so I guess what impresses me the most is, overall, this is going to be a very positive review. What I like most is how versatile it is. Depending on what your game style is, I think it'll meet your needs if you haven't bought one of any version of the Action PC Football franchise. I coach both the offenses. I think it makes for a good show here on YouTube. I'm not a huge defensive guru, and I don't want to make mistakes for any specific team when you're playing a neutral thing. And the AI, I think, is so good that, excuse me, as I continue to revisit my dinner, the AI is so good that it's always a challenge. And if you've got to press when you're behind, it'll force you into making mistakes. And that I don't know if it tracks or what it does, but it seems to be very intuitive. Teams play regardless of whether you're playing older football. I just did a pre-play of the national championship game. It wasn't the exact thing, obviously, because Alabama got their clocks cleaned, but it was able to emulate the fast break football of college football today. You could throw it all over the field. You were reasonably sure that you were going to be able to complete passes and be able to think. The 78 season is much more of a heavy running thing, and you were able, you had enough granularity that teams and running backs had their own thing. And when you faced a tough defense, and God help you if you face Denver Broncos or Pittsburgh Steelers or Dallas Cowboys, you were going to be in for the fight of your life. And if you got behind, you were really going to struggle. And that's a sign of a good football game. Now, my good buddy Al, Red Sox fan, if you subscribe to his channel, he's done some one-and-done tournaments. He's also playing some USFL, and he does what I think most people do for football. You take one team and coach them all the way through. And his knowledge of football is a lot more than mine, and so he coaches both offenses and defenses and special teams. And what you can do on defenses is just amazing. I mean, you can shift lines, fake blitzes. I mean, you can really get deep, deep, deep. So I think if you are much more of a deep football fan, like one that would might have played the front office football franchise, then you're going to get a lot out of a game like this. And it just plays really well. I know there's a lot of draft leagues too. And so you can look at running backs and how linemen block and specifically build teams that way. And again, you're going to get something, whatever your football interest is, it's going to be, the itch is going to be scratched by it, because you can play it in so many different ways. But does it do fictional? No, it doesn't do fictional. But like I said, you can go from draft league, stock league, college, pro, USFL. There's always seasons on sale. If you wait a while, that range anywhere from $6. I think the new price, is like close to 18, 19 for whatever season you want. And every season from 1920 and forward is available. As far as some of the con things that I would think that would be there for the game, I think there are too many penalties on kickoffs and special teams. Too many holding calls. From some of the draft things, I'm not sure people understand how, if it's specific, does my blocker who has nine run block, is that going to be the case in the game? That might be there. The video chalkboard can be a bit wonky. Yeah, it's not the deal that 2nd and 10 is, as far as the sheer volume of teams that come with the game. Dave Gardner asks in the chat if I can turn penalties down. I don't know. I can turn injuries down, and I ran that replay with low injuries because injuries can be a pain in the butt. And Dave responded to that by actually turning the injuries to match whatever games the player missed in real life. So someone that might have missed 2 or 3 games can no longer miss an entire season if they get tweaked in week 2. I think you can. I know that teams are rated by their penalties, but I think that's more of, I don't think there's a favorite. We did all sorts. I don't think I played every team, but we played a lot of team. And that's the one thing that comes up over and over and over again is, a good return, and that's coming back. But beyond that, teams are rated for penalties, I think, on a 0 to or 1 to 5 scale. Like the Raiders would be the max, and teams that were good are rated like a 1. But I'm not sure if you can turn penalties down. If you're a believer in usage limits, you can set those. I never did that. Games are games. And, I try not to overuse players, but once the game starts, you deal with the hand that you're dealt. And if you're playing with injuries, you're there. But instead of like some other game, which forces you to rest players in an artificial way, you get the 0 to 100 scale for players. If they're overplayed, they're going to start at a 93 instead of 100. And again, you got to adjust accordingly. You really have to think on every play. It becomes kind of routine after a while, but with a combination of the good AI, you just don't know what you're going to get. And there wasn't at any point this season, and with the playoffs in the week 16 for the right to get in the playoffs, did a lot of games down the stretch. Did 6 games that last week. I never felt that I knew what was coming on a regular play. Now, in the 70s, if you blitz, you can screen on the blitz, and it's pretty successful. Can't really screen too much today because everyone plays his own defense. So for its versatility and the way that you can play it pretty much whatever way you want, we've given this game the stress test of like you wouldn't believe. There are now 45. No, actually did 2 extra games. So there are 47 games of this particular edition of Action PC Football on this channel for you to watch. And so you can see how it looks. It's moddable. You can put logos in. You can put different fields in. You can put the nicknames in. Is it intuitive? No, it could be easier. 2nd and 10 certainly takes the cake for easier way to put in mods. But as far as being able to call a different variety of plays, at first I thought it was silly. It's a run or a pass. What are you going to do? But no, there is some granularity. You want to call a run on the inside. You want to call a run on the outside. You want to use your your blockers to make sure you run the best of those and run behind the off tackle and all that. I give it a 5-star review. I really think that this is the king of football games. If you're coming off of like a cards and dice game, like a 2nd and 10, which was a more, or 4th Street or whatever, if you haven't tried this, I think you will find that it meets pretty much any football need that you can possibly have. And it plays relatively quick. My games run on here about an hour and a half, but we talk and chat during the game too. If it was just me by myself, 30, 40 minutes, you can get a football game in. You want to coach offenses? Great. You want to coach defenses? Great. Like I said, the nitpicky things are, if you play with injuries set on normal, I think they're too high, and you can turn them down or you can turn them off. Usage penalties, I'm not a huge fan of those, and so those are off. And like I said, I think that they need to look at how special team penalties are. I just think there's too many of them, especially after a long return. But beyond that, it's absolutely what you get. For $35, you can get. Well, they'll have sales. So the game packages are there all the time. You get a basic season of 20 great teams. If you go for the deluxe, you get the past season. And now he's offering 2 or 3 seasons in his deluxe, and there's usually a super deluxe package. And seasons are on sale all the time. You can get a decade worth once in a great while for like $4 a season. That's a pretty good deal. I forget what I paid for 78. We got our money's worth out of that. So a hat tip to Dave for that. And so yeah, join us Wednesday night for this. Can't call it that. The big game, the Professional Football Championship in 1978. That's coming up on Wednesday. And so if you're on the fence I mean, 2nd and 10 is a good game. We're going to do a pre-play of the Super Bowl using that because Dave doesn't have the teams out. But if you're on the fence, if you're looking to convert from a card and dice game to a PC sim, you cannot go wrong with the Action PC Football Series. I just think it's absolutely tremendous. And the proof is in everything that we've done in this channel the last 18 weeks. Go back and watch. You might actually enjoy it yourself, too. All right. Hit that like button and subscribe. I'm Ron Juckett for Retro Sports Network, thanking you for taking the time to watch this. Like I said, on a 1 to 5 star rating, this game gets 5 stars. Yes, there's a couple nitpicky things, and it can be complex if you're not used to modding things, and maybe that could knock it down a half a star depending on how frustrated you get with those things. But this game plays the game of football pretty much any way you want to do it. And thank you, Mr. Little, for everything all year. And check out Dave Little's Sports Simulations page on Facebook. Been a wonder to this channel. And Dave Gardner's HockeyTournaments.com. I'm Ron Juckett. Thank you so much for watching. We'll talk to you the next time. And if you have any questions about the game, put them in the comments, and I'll answer them. All right. Talk to you next time.